Hey everyone, so in this video we'll talk about building a React Native application. This is a tutorial for beginners and people who have not used React Native before. And before we talk about the application, I would like to tell you a little bit about React Native. It's built using React and it's used to build cross-platform applications using JavaScript. Another thing that you'll encounter is Expo, which is a framework which lets us run React Native apps without, Xcode or Android Studio. So now that we have that cleared out, let's see what we'll build. So this is like a very simple one screen application. I'll try to kind of, build an application which shows you the outdoor activities near you. There's like only one page to this application, which is the one that you're seeing right now, and this is something that we'll try to build. And we'll have like a couple of components. You have a background image, you have two images, text, a button, and things like that. And you can click on a button to generate an alert. You'll see that as well. These are a few things that we will look in this tutorial. Right, and you can find all the code on my GitHub repository. I'll leave the link in the description below. Since it's a simple app, there is only one folder called app, and inside that you have the screens folder where you'll find the welcome screen.js file where I have written all the code for this. It's pretty simple, and even if you're just getting started with the React Native, you can totally try your hand with this one. All right, so a couple of prerequisites. You should have Node installed on your system. You should also have Expo CLI installed, and you should initialize an Expo app. We'll see that. Uh, I'm using VS Code to do all my coding, and I've also used a couple of VS Code extensions. The two required ones I would say you should definitely try is React Native Tools and React Native React Redux extensions. The other two are optional and you can try that if you want to. Here is the React Native official website, and you can go ahead and explore more components. I'm using only a handful of components as you saw in the first screen, but you can definitely go ahead and see what all components React Native offers. There's also like a style sheet where you can, see how different uh, aesthetics would look on your app. You have multiple components like status bars, switches, buttons, images, as you can see. And I would definitely encourage you to experiment a little bit more with these components, just to, get your hands dirty and be more comfortable with the application. All right, so now that we have a basic understanding of what React Native is, I think let's start coding. So we'll first go ahead and initialize, Expo. And the command that we're using for that is expo init and the name of your application basically. So I'm just naming this one like my first native app. Yeah, for the lack of a better name. So then it gives you like a couple of options of template that you can choose. And I go with the blank template since this is the basic one that we are creating, and you can select that. And after that, as you can see, it initializes the JavaScript dependencies and it will create an application, with basic uh, components that are required. This takes a while sometimes, not too long, just a couple of minutes, not more than that. All right, so I think our application is initialized, and we can, as here you can see, they have suggested a couple of commands that you can start with. The first one being cd and getting into the directory. That's about it, and now I think we can go ahead and explore the code. So as you can see, the folder structure here, you have an assets folder, node modules, which help you, run the application. But the main file that we are concerned with is the app.js file. As you can see, this kind of gives you like a basic structure of what the app is going to be. So as you can see right now, there's a text which says open up app.js to start working on your app, right? And that's exactly what we have done here. So now I think just to give you an idea of what's going on, we will try to run this. Running a React Native app is just uh, like exactly same as running a React.js app if you have any experience that using that. So just go to the terminal and just type npm start, and this basically just starts your application. The QR code that you see actually is from Expo. So this QR code you can basically scan and open it in your Expo client. And Expo client is basically that's something you can. It's an app that you can install on your phone. It's available in App Store and Play Store both. Uh, but for now, we will, run the application in the web browser, and we are here. As you can see, you have a couple of options running on an iOS simulator or Android simulator. If you're using tools like Xcode or Android Studio, you can select that, but I'm just using the browser right now. So, right, as you can see, we saw that on the screen. Now let me try to change the text and see what happens. So I'm just changing that text to this is my first React Native app. All right, let's save this file, and yep, here you go. You can see that the text has changed and it reflects on the browser. All right, so I think this is like the basic way of getting started. As you grow and as you start getting more comfortable with React Native, you can obviously, do more. But for now, let's start creating our app. So I've created like an app folder. This is how I generally arrange my app. And I've created a screens folder inside the app folder. The screens folder holds all my screens. And I've moved the assets folder inside app because, assets folder is where I keep my images or other supporting things like that, and I'd like to keep all of that inside the same app folder. Another reason for me to do this in this structure is that if something goes terribly wrong with the application, I can always just copy this particular app repository and move my app rather than uh, losing the whole thing altogether. All right, so now we've created a welcome screen.js file. All right, and here we'll start by creating a functional component. So the shortcut that I used is RSF. It's a VS Code shortcut, I believe. And this is one of the advantages of using VS Code, I think, that you get these cool shortcuts so you don't have to type the whole thing out. Anyway, so as you've seen that I have removed the div tags and I have written image background in that place. Sometimes it does not import it automatically, so I am manually importing it, but on most occasions it should do that on its own. All right, so let's import it and let's see what happens. All right, so I'll import it from React Native Web, and now we will specify a source for this image background. And as you can see in my assets folder to the left, I have a couple of, images. I'll just, import one of these just to show you how a background image looks like. Right, and the way you do it is by writing source equals to require and just the location of the image file. I'm using dartmouth.jpg file for this particular tutorial. You obviously will name it as per your file's name. Awesome. So let's see. I've saved that, and I'm also creating like a style sheet, and the shortcut I used for that was RNSS, React Native Style Sheets. Pretty straightforward. And I generally like to keep my style sheets in the same file if I'm not doing like a super complicated app because it kind of helps me arrange my screens better. Um, so, and in styles, basically what I'm trying to do, it's kind of like CSS if you have ever used that before. You basically just kind of specify parameters like flex or the width, the height, or where the item should be aligned, uh, and just specify what values you'd want for that. You can definitely explore more about these on the React Native website that was shown in the beginning. I'll also link that in the description box below so you can go ahead and explore it as much as you want. And once I think you do a couple of applications like this, you'll be pretty comfortable with it. So don't worry if you don't, just remember everything off the top of your head immediately. You'll get that. Uh, right. So, and the second thing, as you can see, is very important is to also call the styles.background object inside the image background, as you can see, so that it knows like from where it has to start, pick that up. All right, this is nothing but just, npm start, again, running my application, came to expo. I'll run my application in the browser again, and here we go. Yay. So we have a background image for our application. Awesome. But you wouldn't want the background image to be like this, you know, like vibrant, right? I mean, you would want background images are generally a little blurred. So the parameter you use for that is blur radius, and just nothing, just blur radius and specify a number of the intensity of the blur that you'd want. And here you go. As you can see, the image has gotten blurred. You can definitely play around with the number, make it higher, make it lower, see what uh, blur suits you best. uh, that's about it for the image, background image. And now we'll move to the next component, which is the text component. And this text component I'm using basically for the heading, which said outdoor activities near you. And here I'll just enclose it within the text tags. And I'll also style it a little bit, and because this is the heading of our application, and we would obviously want it to be uh, bold and of a different color, things like that. So for that, I will kind of create another object inside styles, and let's name it like title text. uh, these names are pretty arbitrary, but if you name it in such a way that it helps you understand what it is referring to, it will be easier for you to manage it later on, especially when you're building bigger applications with multiple screens and things like that. Awesome. So now I'm just making this text a little bigger, so I'm using attributes like font size, font weight. I also kind of change the color a little bit. I don't want it to be black, so I basically just picked this color using color picker, and I found the hex code pretty straightforward there. There are a lot of other I would say attributes that you can play around with. Definitely go ahead and check those out and see what suits you best. All right, so yeah. Oh, another important attribute I would say is the top one. It basically kind of specifies how much space the component leaves on the top of the screen before it uh, displays itself. Right. Awesome. Referencing this styles.title text for this text component, and we are good to go. Right. Awesome. Uh, okay, so what else did we want? We wanted, let's see how it looks first. Did we save it? I think I did. Are we missing something? Let me see what's happening here. What are we missing? Are we good? Are we good? No, I don't think that was. Oh, okay, I misspelled title, but never mind. Oh, okay, I can see what happened. For some reason, it did not auto import text, so I have to do it manually. But yeah, just keep an eye on this. Just see that all the components that you're using in your application are being imported properly, because if they're not imported, you will obviously face errors. So that's how our app is looking so far. Right, awesome. We have our background image and we have our title text. Incredible. So what is our next component? The next component was an image, right? That we wanted. And I am enclosing this inside the view component. This, I think, I'll talk about the view a little bit later, because I think it will become a little more clear when the entire app uh, comes into perspective. So we'll talk about this component a little later. For now, let's display our images. Easy. Yeah, image component coming right up. All right, so there are obviously two ways of displaying an image. Either you can save a local copy of the image, like in the assets folder, like we did for the background image, or there's another way that we can basically specify a URL and reference that. So for this particular image component, I will use the URL method. All right. So this, I'm just kind of specifying the height and width and the URI of where I would find that image. So I because I wanted to show like both ways. So in the image background, I've used as a local image, and here I'm using a URL. So yeah, I'm just picking a random image. This is this site called Pixum. It kind of generates random images. So you can kind of explore this website and just copy paste the URL and just go ahead and copy it here. If you leave it like that, then it will generate a random image every time you basically reload your app. But I want a specific image, so I'm just specifying the ID of that image. uh, I don't remember this ID, obviously. I just found it out on the Pixum website itself. It's pretty straightforward. You definitely recommend checking this website out. Great to test applications, I would say. Awesome. What else are we supposed to do now? So we have our image, and the next, let's see, we imported it. Nope. So let's do that. Let's import our image component and see if we are able to see it. Oh yeah, awesome. Okay, yeah, but obviously we did not style it, so it's right at the top of the screen and it's hiding our title. We don't want that. So let's come back to our style sheet and write our style specifications for this. Wow, that sounded fancy. Okay, never mind. Let's go. Let's name this activity container, because I'll basically be enclosing all the activities in this. Just specifying the position, how much space it should leave at the top of the screen, how the item should be aligned. Pretty basic stuff. Uh, these are all, don't worry about it if you're not able to quickly remember these attributes off the top of your head. uh, these are pretty easy to find on the website. or you can also Google and refer to websites like Stack Overflow and all to kind of learn more about it. But these things, as much as you become more comfortable, these things start coming naturally. So that's completely fine. Don't get worried about it at all. Awesome. Yeah, I was actually trying to play around with this particular attribute, justify content. I was trying to basically have all my images that I use be spaced out evenly. So that was for that. All right, so now we have our title text is the top attribute is 35, and for this it's 85. So I hope it does not cover it now. And here is the interesting part. So I remember I said that we'll talk about view later. Yeah, so view we are using kind of like a container here, and inside, so inside view we have, you know, all the details of our activities that we will be displaying on our application. So the advantage of this obviously definitely is that I just have to style the outer container, the view container, and everything inside that would be styled, right? I don't have to individually go on and style every image. And this will become even more apparent when we go ahead and add more components like a button and another text. So instead of, you know, going ahead and defining a uh, style object for each one of those, we're just doing it for the container, and everything that's inside the container is pretty is, you know, in accordance with that. Awesome. And so here you have, I just put the text as rowing. And what else? We yeah, we have already imported text, so awesome, we don't need to do that again. Incredible. Other thing we had was a button. If you don't remember, pause this video, go back to the beginning and see the app screen. It's completely fine, and come back. uh, button title is something that's, you know, the text that would be displayed on that button. And we are doing details here. And so obviously another thing with a button is, you must have experiences like something happens when you press it, right? So we are just defining that what should be the on press event. And right now I'm just kind of generating an alert as an on press event. You can obviously change it to other components like a modal or a pop-up or anything else. You or, you know, direct it to a different screen if you're making a multi-screen application. So definitely experiment with these things and see what suits your needs best. And all right, and the text that you have in alert is basically like the text that would be displayed when you click on that button. Let's see if it's working. Yeah, awesome. So basically, we have the first activity that your app shows. It's rowing, and if you click on details, so you can find out where is that activity happening, and it's happening on the Connecticut River, it seems. Well, not right now, definitely, because it's frozen. But yeah, hopefully later on. Yeah, so just I copy pasted these components, the image, text, and button components for our next image or the next activity that we want to display. I've changed the URI of the image and also changed the activity name and the button. So it's basically like, as you can see, a copy of the previous one, just changing a few details so that we get a different image and a different name and a different detail alert, basically. Yeah. So yeah, here that's how your screen looks. Google Chrome, I think most browsers give you that option. You can see how it will look on a mobile screen. You just, you know, go to inspect and click on the mobile looking button on top. So that's how it's going to look on a mobile screen. So this is basically your app is ready. Yeah, this is what we set out to do, and we've done it. Awesome. So this was pretty, yeah, so it's definitely pretty simple to make a one screen app, and this is definitely very basic. You can go ahead and experiment more and make it more beautiful. Like, definitely, as you can see, the word rowing looks very tiny, so you can increase the size of it, change the color of it, make it bold, things like that. You can have different actions on button click, like I said, a modal pop-up, or taking it to a different screen, or the things like that. You can also have things like, uh, you know clicking on the image and changing how the image behaves, and things like that. So that's pretty much it for creating the app. This is a bonus section if you're still interested. So this is Expo gives you an option basically to publish your app. And when you publish that app, you can basically get a URL, and you can access that on your cell phone, or and just see your app, how it will look on the using the Expo client. Definitely, you'll not be able to see it on the App Store or the Play Store because you haven't registered the app yet. But just for testing purposes, yeah, you can definitely see it on the Expo client. So as soon as you publish, as you can see, this is the page you'll go to. This is the QR code which you can scan and you know see your app. Yeah, this is just to end this. I want to kind of show you like that how powerful or widely used React Native is. It was developed by Facebook, and as you can see, it's being used by a lot of applications: Discord, Coinbase, Shopify, Tableau, like Flipkart, well, like one of the biggest e-commerce platforms in India, Skype, Uber Eats. So it's widely used by companies for creating their mobile applications. So definitely worth exploring. Uh, every company also has like a developer blog. Not every, but most definitely. So as you can see, like Pinterest was created using React Native, and the first version of it was created, like the first implementation was created in like 10 days. So it's definitely something worth exploring and learning about. And maybe you can create the next React Native application on the App Store, solving something, right? So that'd be fun. And yeah, I'm just kind of showing you the developer blogs that these companies have posted, and their learnings and their challenges. So if you're thinking about creating a React Native application, you can definitely take inspiration from these. I've now moved on to the blog section of the website, and this basically kind of shows you the latest version of the React Native app and what are the changes and things like that. Community, obviously, React Native is open source, so there's a GitHub repository. You can raise issues or also uh, close issues if you yeah if that's if you can explore that and see that, and you can close issues that we for the community. That's something that a lot of developers do. uh, React Native also shows you kind of the different versions, the previous versions that they had. And these are just to explore, like, what if you're really curious if a particular component was available in the previous version or not. uh, and sometimes you may need to also, because different depends on what version your application is built on. If you build a real application, then you have to kind of see like the version compatibilities and things like that. So it's good to know information. Definitely encouraged to explore the official website more. The link can be found in the description. And yeah, I hope you had fun creating this, and hope to see you soon again.